welcome to Retro Game SuperHyper. Today I'm going to show off my new Retropie modded arcade 1-up. I just finished this project and I'm very happy with the results. I know a million people have done this mod, you've seen it before. I'm going to show a couple things that I did maybe a little differently, explain some of the choices I made. So I really wanted a tate mode, or I'm sorry, a tate mode, or a vertically oriented machine, mostly to play shmups, but also classics like Pac-Man and Burger Time and those vertical games that look really great when they fill the screen. The Space Invaders Arcade 1-Up cabinet is the ticket for that style, man, because it's actually the cheapest of the arcade 1-Up games. I got it for like $199, I think. Most arcade 1-Ups are like in the $300 or $400 range. But the Space Invaders one really only has one game, as Space Invaders. If you look at the box, it includes Space Invaders Original and Space Invaders Color. So, for $199 is really not worth it just for the Space Invaders game. But as a mod project, it's perfect. I do like I like the cabinet artwork overall. The Space Invaders art is classic and iconic. I like the old Taito Titronics logo. That's super cool. I like the 40th anniversary Space Invaders logo. So yeah, I don't have any plans to replace the art. I think it's a great looking cabinet. As for the mod, I did the ETA Prime mod that pretty much everybody has done. You can find it on YouTube. It mostly works really, really well. I ran into a little trouble, which I'll get into in a minute here. But if you order the parts that he tells you to and follow his instructions, you really can't go wrong. In fact, some of the parts, like the joystick and buttons that he uses in his video, have since been upgraded and are even easier to install than the ones that he uses in his video. So I did have to do a couple things differently. So for one, obviously I had to rotate the display to work on a vertical monitor. I found out how to do that in another video, which I'll link to in the description. And what you have to do is edit Retropie's config.txt file, which that was intimidating to me because I'm not much of a coding guy. But again, if you follow the instructions, it's actually really easy. The only difference was in the video that I watched, he says to type in like display rotate equals 1 as your line of code, but that actually made the display upside down on this unit. It doesn't matter if you're doing it with a monitor that you can orient however you want, but in this case, you can't do that. So if you're doing it on an arcade 1-Up like this, you need to type in display rotate equals 3 instead of 1 so that it shows up right side up here. So let me explain about the odd button layout that I've got here. I know it's a little weird, and if I walked into an arcade and I saw a cabinet with this button layout, I'd be like, what ignorant hack operator converted this thing, right? I basically just wanted the standard JAMA layout of, a stick and 3 buttons. But originally on this arcade 1-Up Space Invaders, the fire button is down here. Okay, so for me, I have pretty big hands. So if I were to, drill 2 more holes on either side of this button, that would be like super uncomfortable for me. My hand kind of rests on the edge and I didn't like that. So I basically just plopped my hand on the control panel and said, okay, this is where my fingers kind of naturally fall. So I'm going to put my buttons up here. Luckily this is kind of a blank spot. So there was no artwork that I was going to ruin. So I just put my buttons there and, but then, what am I going to do with this extra hole that's already right there? I guess I could plug it up with a chunk of wood or something, but then you'd be missing some of the artwork, so that would look funny too. So I figured I'll just throw another button there. Luckily, as I'm playing, my hand kind of floats right over that. See that? And so I'm really even as I play. I'm not going to accidentally push that button, but if I do need a 4th button, I guess it's there. So I can use it if I really have to. Speaking of drilling holes, the ETA Prime, with all due respect, tells you to pick up a step bit to drill your 30mm holes. But what he doesn't mention is that a step bit costs like $40. So I just use a hole saw attachment for my drill. With those cost like 10 or $15. By the way, you need 1.25 inches. So that's about equivalent to 30 millimeter, and that's the size you're going to need for these standard buttons. So I'm sorry, 1.125 inches. I spoke wrong. It wasn't 1.25 inches, it was 1.125 inches. So it worked fine, but this MDF, when you drill through it, really kind of makes a mess. And also, this machine does come with a clear plastic overlay, and mine doesn't have it right now. It comes with like a hard clear plastic overlay for the control panel, because when these arcade 1-ups came out, they were notorious for like the artwork on the control panels kind of rubbing right off with use. So they started including like a clear plastic overlay. Unfortunately, when you try to drill through those things, mine cracked. Those things are really touchy to kind of work with. So what I ended up doing to protect the artwork is just using some clear contact film, or clear adhesive contact paper. So it still looks good. It's not as glossy, but the artwork is protected. I'm not going to rub it off. At some point, I think it'd be easy enough to, pick up a plank of wood and create a whole new control panel with kind of a more ideal button layout. That would be easy enough to do, but and maybe have one of those guys who does arcade artwork graphics, print off some custom artwork for it or something. You could do that, but for now, this works fine, and I'm pretty happy with it. The other thing I'd like to point out is the audio. So in the ETA Prime video, he tells you to get one of those cheap audio amps and run the speaker wire to it. So here, I'm gonna turn this around and show kind of the innards. This is pretty much the same thing you'll see in every one of these mods. You have a control board there and a monitor, some monitor control. I still have kind of a rat's nest going on here. I haven't really correctly mounted all this stuff. But what he has you do is take the two dangling speaker wires and plug it into an audio amp, and then plug the amp into the audio output jack here. Well, when I tried to do that, all I got was a hum. I got no sound whatsoever. I don't know why. I don't know if I had a bad amp or what happened, but no matter what, I'm sorry. No matter what I did, I couldn't get it to work right. So what I ended up doing, I was getting pretty frustrated with the audio situation, thinking, what am I going to do? So then I remembered I have this cheap set of Amazon Basic PC speakers. Okay, just regular old PC speakers from Amazon. So I tried plugging them into that audio out, and they work awesome. There's no hum, there's no background noise, the sound is perfect. And so what I decided to do is mount them on top of the cabinet here. If you've done this mod yourself, you know that everything in this whole thing is based on double-sided tape, right? Like all of these, everything is mounted with like double-sided tape. So took some more double-sided tape, turned these speakers on their side, and I mounted them about halfway back on the cabinet top, which it's nice because from eye level, when you're playing, you can't see them, right? Even if you do see them, they kind of remind me a little bit of like one of those Japanese candy cabs, that have the speakers mounted on top, like a Capcom Impress or something like that. So I don't think it looks bad. Also, you can control the volume right here. Okay, got off on volume. And that's nice because you don't have to reach inside the cab to change anything. And it sounds more when you're playing. It actually sounds a little more like the sound is coming from the game, as opposed to from this weird little speaker here on the control panel. And best of all, it's stereo. So games like Gyrus or Satan's Hollow or some of this more virtual audio cue sound, the JAMA era stuff. Sounds great. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a way better solution than using the existing speaker. Forget the whole $15 amp thing and spend your $15 on a pair of speakers and mount them on the top. And I really, really am happy with this solution. So one more thing I want to show you. Of course, you can create custom graphics for your Retropie setup. So of course I had to create my own splash screen upon boot up. And I called it Game Center SuperHyper. So yeah, thank you for checking out my project. I know there are many like it, but this one is mine. I'm going to leave you with a little gameplay footage. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Check out the Retro Game Super Hyper blog and fanzine at retrogamesuperhyper.com. Look me up on social media. I'll talk to you later. I got some games to play.